Loree Burns, and I'm the author of the book Citizen Scientists: Be a Part of Scientific Discovery from Your Own Backyard. So the research for this book was fabulous. It was really, really fun for me because my goal during the research was to familiarize myself with as many citizen science projects as I could. And so I spent about a year and a half doing citizen science at home with my kids, on my own, with school groups in my town, but also traveling to other places and watching nature centers and schools, watching other students and families and groups participate in citizen science projects. And so the result was a year of just exploring a wide array of projects and picking and choosing the ones that would translate well to the book and get across the points that I thought were really important as far as doing citizen science. And I think I drove a lot of people in my house crazy. We did a lot of really neat and magnificent projects for a year and a half, 2 years. Yes, I think kids are perfectly suited for citizen science. One of the main reasons is because what scientists need is eyes and ears in the field over a wide geography. So a scientist studying birds, for example, may be very aware of what's going on where they study birds or at their specific field station or whatnot. But to get a glimpse of what birds are doing or how they're faring across the entire continent or country or continent, what you're going to need is a lot more eyes and ears out there watching the birds. And no one knows the birds in your backyard better than you do. And what the scientists need is people who are observant and are outside in nature paying attention to what's going on around them. And kids are those people. They are outside a lot more than you and I are, and they're very aware in most cases of their environment, and they can usually provide really good feedback and record of what's going on in their own backyard. And so I think they're really great and perfectly poised to do this type of field work. What I think citizen science does is it makes you slow down and pay attention. I mean, a scientist's job in many cases is to be a very careful observer, whether it's of a certain scenario or of an experiment that they've designed. Their job is to pay very careful attention to what is happening. And citizen science allows or requires anyone who's participating in it to do that. So to slow down, carefully observe what's happening, and keep a record of it. And I think that's a great experience for anyone, particularly these days when a lot of us who maybe aren't trained scientists don't take the time to do that. So citizen science allows anybody, anywhere, of any age, it doesn't matter if you're a kid or a grown-up, a boy or a girl, a woman or a man, it doesn't matter where you live, you still can provide useful information, but you're required to slow down and carefully observe what's going on around you. You know, a scientist is limited in the amount of data they can collect by their own senses, right? Their first-hand collection of data is going to be limited by where they are and what they can see or hear or feel. And so by having assistants located all over the world collecting information for you, you're just able to get much more information. And I think someone like Dr. Loree, who I write about in Citizen Scientists, is a great example of this. He was very interested in understanding the fate of 3 ladybug species that had not been seen for quite some time and in the country. And these were ladybug species that were once very, very common. And so he could study New York in the various locations that he visited in New York, because that's where he works. But to understand ladybugs in West Boylston, Massachusetts, where I live, or in Seattle, Washington, or wherever, he really needed the help of other people. And so for him to be able to recruit kids who were willing to dedicate themselves to learning a little bit about ladybug biology and how you find ladybugs and how you identify them, and then being willing to go out and look for them, and then finally being willing to report back to him what you see, he was able to collect a lot more information over a much broader area than he would have been able to do alone. And the result is identifying new ranges for these species that he thought might have been in trouble or maybe on the brink of extinction or extinct, and instead found out with the help of kid citizen scientists that these ladybugs are alive and their ranges have simply contracted. So it's a way for scientists to expand their knowledge base, really, with the help of insightful and excited non-scientists. For this book, I worked with photographer Ellen Harris-Samowich. We've worked together on books before, and Ellen first of all, is fabulous to work with. She's an excellent photographer, but having her in the field is wonderful because we're able to really work together and make sure we don't miss anything. I always go into an event, a research site, with an idea of what images I think I'll need from that event. But Ellen invariably thinks of a few things that I hadn't thought of because she's bringing her own perspective to the story. And so it's really exciting for me when we get back home to look at the images she's collected, because more often than not, there's some things in there that I hadn't anticipated wanting. But as soon as I see it, I realize, yes, that's the image we needed. So we've really developed a nice working relationship, and I'm really pleased that we'll be working on some more books together. I'm working on a new Scientists in the Field book, part of Houghton Mifflin's series. And that title of that book is Beetle Busters, and it's about the Asian longhorn beetle and the men and women in Massachusetts who are studying it. It feels great to have won this prize twice, of course, and one of the big reasons for me, my former career was as a scientist, and so it's really important to me that the work that I'm producing does have scientific merit and value. And so it's wonderful when kids read my books and like them, and librarians read my books and like them. But for scientists to read my books and say that it's good and worthy work and that other people should read them, to me is very, very encouraging. I'm extremely grateful, and I feel really good about that.